Now, verse 27. Now comes the part that often we fail to do, and that's the other look. Up at God who invited us, back at Christ who suffered for us, forward until He comes. We're supposed to live for Him, but there's an impediment. We can't do that if we don't do that final step, and that's this inward look. Verse 27, whoever therefore eats this bread or drinks this cup in an unworthy manner will be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. So if you don't want to incur guilt or wrath, verse 28 says, but let a man examine himself. Much about communion is this inward look. It's not when we look at each other. It's when we look inside. And we say, Lord, I want to examine myself, and let him eat the bread and drink the cup. For he who eats and drinks in an unworthy manner eats and drinks judgment to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. In other words, because the Lord is holy, we're supposed to be holy, and we're supposed to have clean hands and pure hearts. So if we haven't gotten cleaned up, then there's going to be a response from the Lord, basically chastisement for us if we come in an unworthy manner. And so, verse 30 explains that, and this is one of the several passages here, and James 5, and in 1 John 5, and in Revelation 2, are all places this is brought up. For this reason, many are weak and sick among you, and many sleep. Now, what is the context of that? Was it a sickly, unhealthy congregation? No. It was a congregation that way back up in verses 17 to 22 was uncaring, thoughtless, doing their own thing, flaunting what they had, letting someone starve next to them when they had abundance, and they were drunken and overeating while someone in the same body was starving. And they didn't care. They were unattached. They were uncaring. They were thoughtless. They were heartless. They didn't have that mercy. But because of that, and because they didn't crucify the flesh, which makes us say, hey, if they don't have anything, too bad. They don't work hard enough. I work hard, it's mine. That attitude that was not seen as fleshly and dealt with caused many to become weak. Verse 30. And many modifies the next, many to become sick, and many to sleep. And I don't mean, what I see on Sunday mornings now and then. I don't mean falling asleep in the service. This is death. This, by the way, happens to be the 3 stages of chastisement. God convicts, and if the person does not respond to that conviction, He starts, as it says in chapter 18 of Matthew, He starts afflicting them, tormenting them, causing them to have problems. And if there is not response to that, the next step right here is weakness. There's kind of like this, can never get their strength up. And then there's sickness that there doesn't seem to be any reason for it, but it's just sickness that won't go away. And some die, what we would call a premature death. Well, if we would judge ourselves, verse 31, we would not be judged. See, the Lord judges us if we don't judge ourselves. If we don't examine ourselves and turn from sin, repent of it, say no to sin, ask the Lord to remove it, come to our spiritual oncologist and say that selfishness has taken root, and that malignancy I want you to take away, or lust has taken root, or this merciless spirit, or this uncaring, what he's talking about in 17 to 22. I am untouched by the needs of others, and I want you to remove that. I want to have a heart of compassion. I have a careless heart. And if we don't come to Him, then He said He will judge us. And if we don't want to be judged, we need to judge ourselves. And that judgment is coming to the cross, seeing ourselves as He sees us. Kind of like if you've ever gone into a place where they have black lights so you can see the color coming out of like rocks. You know how rocks turn colors when they have black lights on them, or other things. You come into a science exhibit. And I love walking into those, because as soon as you walk in, all of a sudden, all the lint just is glowing on your clothes. It just, or your shoestrings if they're white. Or these people that do the ultra-white bleach, their teeth just glow, in the dark, and anything white just glows on you. Well, that reminds me, when we come before the Lord and we come to the cross, all of a sudden we can see the flesh, the unmortified pockets of pride, of us wanting comfort and convenience and security, and we think of ourselves and all those other manifestations of the flesh. But if we, verse 31, judge ourselves, we wouldn't be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened by the Lord, that we may not be condemned with the world. Therefore, my brethren, here's what we're supposed to do. Verse 33, when you come together to eat, wait for one another. The whole idea is have a whole different spirit. It's not for me. This is not my deal. This is His deal, the Lord. And I've come here as a part of a body that I am sharing with. And if anyone's hungry, let him eat at home, lest when you come together for judgment, and the rest I'll set in order when I come. What he's saying is, don't be heartless and thoughtless. Come aware of those around you.